Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim, your doctrines I mind blame, you will hear, you will hear, your doctrines I mind blame, you will hear. It's right and what is wrong, by the law, what is right and what is wrong, by the law. What is right and what is wrong, the weak arm and the strong, the short sword and the long, for to draw, the short sword and the long, for to draw. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim, your doctrine I mind blame, you will hear, you will hear, your doctrines I mind blame, you will hear. What makes heroic strife famed afar, famed afar? What makes heroic strife famed afar? What makes heroic strife with the assassin's knife, or hunt a parent's life with bloody war, or hunt a parent's life with bloody war? Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim, your doctrines I might blame, you will hear, you will hear, your doctrines I might blame, you will hear. Then leave your schemes alone in the state, in the state. Then leave your schemes alone in the state. Then lift your schemes alone, adore the rising sun, and leave a man alone to his fate, to his fate. Leave a man alone to his fate. Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim, your doctrine I mind blame, you will hear, you will hear, your doctrine I mind blame, you will hear. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim, your doctrine I mind blame, you will hear, you will hear, your doctrines I mind blame, you will hear. What's up, everybody? Everyone's having a fantastic week. People say cats are smarter than dogs. So-called free-thinking cats when they see a red dot. How come Irish people can't pronounce strawberries? The Celtic ancestors created them through selective breeding and cultivation over millennia in the Armorican Peninsula of modern-day Brittany. I guess, the old Frankish sort of, similar to old Frankish Sivian, would probably be a lot easier for Irish people to pronounce, given the fact that languages are formed around, dialects are formed around the specific ways that people's jaws adapt to their diets, which, by the way, I got a big theory. Well, it's pretty on the fence, right? So it's like a hypotha theory that genes don't cause a ton of effects to manifest as much as cultural diets instilling in people a contiguous structure, right? And I have pretty thick hair because I eat lots and lots of cashews. I don't know many people that eat lots and lots of cashews that don't. Male pattern baldness ain't really a thing in Brazil, where they have lots and lots of cashews. So if you're struggling with that, try cashews. It's like the old Buddhist thing, like any drug, you can actually meditate your way towards the activation of the particular gates that release those uptakes. And the same goes with substituting things that come out of a lab for things that come from nature, right? There's always something there. That's one of the reasons why the chemical people want to destroy nature completely and actually have like a jihad against nature, is so that they can corner the market and prevent people from naturally, producing what they're producing for much, much cheaper through their labs in the field. And I think like the finasteride stuff is probably pretty similar to what cashews do for you. Just saying, it's worked for me. I've eaten cashews for years and years and years, and I have a touch, just a teeny touch of a widow's peak, but not much. Pretty good. A little bit of genes for that because on my mother's father's side, there's no real baldness even up until later age, but we gray super early, so that's a thing. It's gonna be a little sad to see my white spot just blend back into the gray after coming to appreciate it in these recent years. But hey, easy come, easy go. I was wrong about the Slavic language being young. I said this 10 episodes ago or so. That was a fumble. Only the written form, Cyrillic, which were learned from Greek and Byzantine expats, is new. Slavic language is ancient, and it's been stable for like 10,000 years in a lot of ways. It's one of the reasons why you look at the Cyrillic alphabet, and it's just like, whoa, that's some almost hieroglyphic-looking stuff, because it's kind of Greek and kind of oracle bone shaman stuff, It's kind of like a combination of those two in a way. Because, of course, the original Ionian Greek is a lot different than Cyrillic, right? I think so. I'm pretty sure. Germans have great science, but terrible history. And this is something I butt into all the time. And it's a big problem with both Britain and America. And unfortunately, what led the Germans to make so many bad decisions over the centuries leading up to World War II, right? Is the fact that Germany in history is littered with grievous errors, real bad errors. And it just goes back to this old thing that I hear parroted all the time, that there were never any Celts, that the Slavs were never part of Europe, even though you can genuinely see from Belarus down to Hungary this huge Slavic band, right? And Slovakia is a real thing. That's real Slavic lands. It's always been Slavic lands, to my knowledge, is Slovakia. And I defend Slovakia at any time. I got friends that have friends in Slovakia. I don't have friends in Slovakia, but I do love the Slovak people of Nitra, which used to be part of Hungary. Hungary used to be massive, so Hungary used to incorporate like Croatia, which the Croats are I didn't know this. The Croats are a Slavic race that comes from like Poland region. Like southern Poland region, that's where the Croats actually came from. Just like the Veneti were found all over the place, but the main Veneti were found along the that Polish river coming down from the Teutonic region of Danzig and the Livonian coast up there. It's a big river, and on that river, the Vistula, is where the Veneti actually originally came from, and they were turned into the Slovenians, which you got to study Venetian history to understand how that kind of combined with Aquileia, which is a Phoenician colony that established itself very firmly in Europe, and the Veneti, which just means the wet ones, essentially. The ones by the people who live by the river is what Veneti means, or by the water. Italy pops off in the cooler parts of the year. It's really fun to be Italian in the cooler parts of the year, but it is miserable in the summer because it's a miserable heat sink full of concrete, right? And that concrete gets hot. And things have only been getting hotter since we came out of the Ice Age. That's why we have all this evidence of things like Doggerland, and where the Ogden traveled across, and also how the Native Americans got to America. It's all a bunch of ice. It's undeniable how much ice there was and how slowly it's been melting, and that heats things up over a period of time. And if you have like a hyperfixation on concrete, which I see a lot of Italians do, and there's a lot of concrete companies named like Venetian Concrete and stuff like that. You really got to be careful. You got to make sure that you don't wipe out all your trees in this tree jihad. A lot of the transhumanists. That's the word I was looking for last episode, where people want to turn themselves into robots. Transhumanists that think that with their with their AI systems and their CGI graphs, that it's just easier to make no trees, and it'll make things more, because trees are so unique. And it's hard for AI to recognize really what a tree is because it's so unique. They want to just destroy all of them. So you'll see a lot of people just going out and randomly hacking down trees, putting eco plugs in them, pouring glyphosate down in them, and just killing them. Specifically because there is a tree jihad on right now. And you got to be careful with that. You put too much concrete in the ground and you wipe out your trees, you're going to end up getting a heat sink like Hotlanta. You do not want that. You don't want one. And I don't know, man. Like, you think your AC can save you? That thing, is a lifesaver. But at the same time, how many people can stack ACs in one particular area before the outside of the AC just runs out of air to compress in a way? How many extreme, like 700 horsepower engines just belting fire out of their exhaust can you have before the oxygen just starts to dry up? Because we need varieties of things to create oxygen. And the trees are one of them. It's really strange that people think that, like, just because environmental groups are particularly evil, that the concept of environmentalism, which is the foundation of all the other sciences, especially if you study the history, especially if you study Celtic history, who were the first people to determine that the brain was in the head. They also had, the Druids were basically like, ancient scientists of animal husbandry and cultivation of crops and breeding of various things. And it's just, that's the foundation of all science. How can you get rid of that? You're not floating up there, you're collapsing. Sorry. It's just going to happen. Oh, speaking of which, I'm glad to hear that Butch and Suni finally got back down. If you weren't aware of what's going on, there's 2 NASA scientists that got launched to the ISS and were stranded there because the Boeing capsule malfunctioned horrifically. Because Boeing is a slapdash, shoddy, dilapidated, pathetic rump state of the company that it used to be. Boeing used to be like number 3 American powerhouse, major company to be somewhat proud of. Now it is literally like a laughing stock excuse. I guess the Italians during the summer, they can play the new Yakuza pirate game. Oh man, the Like a Dragon Yakuza Pirates in Hawaii. Oh, it's so awesome. Dude, like literally, like if you're not into the Yakuza series because you find it a little dry and the story is a little bit too deep, try that one. It's super accessible, it's super fun. It's one of the funnest games that I've seen in years. Like genuinely fun, genuinely soulful. Like most Yakuza games have a lot of soul in them. But this one's just great. This one's wonderful, and it covers a lot of bases when it comes to things that it could have possibly done. I liked it a lot. It's such peak, dude. And the people of Japan never pass from this world. But one thing I've been thinking about recently is, why did the Axis include them? Well, more. Why did it include Italy? I can get Germany and Japan, right? Heavily scientific people who lie about their history. But Italy, less scientific people, still scientific, medium scientific people, who are very truthful about their history, extremely truthful about their history. Only Caesar was a big liar, but they'll correct the record whenever possible. And then you got people like Dante Alighieri, who are just like so dedicated to fleshing out the truth that they're willing to tick off every power structure in the area and get exiled. But yeah, it's very strange. Why was Italy thrown in the mix? Like, what is fascism anyways? Like, the Nazis were scared by the Croats during World War II. So what really, like, I know the definition of that. I know the answer to that. Fascism is the foundation of culture. It means to bind together. It means it's the glue. It's the cultural glue, like how the Greeks' cultural glue, their fascisti, was the Pantheon, Bacchus and Dionysus, and well, actually that's Italian. Greek for the same thing. You know, the pantheon, which had varieties of different names. It's one of the reasons why the Roman Empire was aligned together and then broke apart, is because the pantheon was something that spread all over the place. That's what we call the pagan world. It's a very specific thing. As I explained a couple episodes ago, you have fetishism in Africa, Alcaringia in Australia, Confucianism and shamanism in China and Russia and stuff like that. And paganism was the pantheonistic religion of the Indo-Europeans and the Greco-Romans. And that's where the Roman Empire came from, right? It's very strange. Like, one can imagine maybe the German-Italian connection comes from the Holy Roman Empire, but then why is Japan thrown in there? It's a very strange alliance, and I think the strangeness of the alliance is one of the reasons why they didn't do better, you see. There weren't a lot. They're probably like looking for the knives to come into their backs from their own allies as much as anything else, because especially with the German paranoia about that particular thing from World War One, like they weren't really their hearts weren't in it, and like Italy, their hearts weren't in it. I probably wouldn't be around if they had their hearts in it. My grandpa fought the Italians in the Mediterranean theater, and like he did report that the Italians were much more friendly, much more cordial, much more getting along well with the Americans than the Germans, who were extremely dour and extremely serious and were absolutely not willing to talk in any case or form. And the Japanese are even more intense in that issue. So there's a lot of differentials popping up there. There's a lot of juxtaposition, striation, some differentiation there that makes things not so concrete, not so bound together. Seeing what Michel Foucault did to France, Charles de Gaulle would weep. They were still the good guys during World War II. For the French, they were the good guys during World War II. They did the best thing, which is to just not fight, not engage in this bloody, contracted, pointless war. The French, I've said this before, I've said this for years, the French were the good guys in World War II. They a lot of crap for being the good guys in World War II, just like Greece gets a lot of financial issues for turning their back on the International Monetary Fund and not paying back their debts. Which, why should they? Why should they? Really, after what the world allowed the Ottoman Empire, the Ottoman Turks to do to them for so long, why should they? And how they're still humiliated to this day over that, why should they? I say good for them. Verdun was a separate culture. French, Austrian, previously Provence, where part of my father's family hails from. A very small part of my father's family was related to Marie Theresa and Marie Antoinette of the Holy Roman Empire. And of Austria, and French Austria was a specific thing around Verdun, around Strasbourg, Verdun. And what the Jacobites did was lie. They lied, and they killed people, and then they lied about how people responded to being killed. It was bad. It was really, really dishonorable. Speaking of which, the most heartbreaking thing about House Saud, Saudi Arabia, is they're descended from the Bedouins of Najd. Yet, they slaughtered their own country for a tiny piece of Western hegemony. By far, the most dishonorable, crazy Muslims. They just have both holy sites of Medina and Mecca. And that's exactly why they have the, that's why they did it, that's why they have the pump. And I don't like that. I really hate it when Marco Rubio says, "Your Highness, you're so good, Your Highness, thank you so much," for accomplishing next to nothing. Like, it's not like we're going to whip our allies in line. Hell no. Not going to happen. So what did Saudi Arabia actually accomplish? Nothing. That's the same thing with everything else that they accomplish, which is just like, on paper it looks fantastic, but in reality it's sand. Just like Dogecoin. Dogecoin has no market cap, so it's sand. And that should be your big clue what the heck Elon's up to, you know. You got to have a market cap for your currency. Otherwise, you are trading sand in the Sahara. I've said it before, I'll say it again. But anyways, it's wild to think the potatoes, tomatoes, chili peppers, and eggplants, they're all part of the nightshade family. Deadly nightshade? Just wow, man. People really worked hard to make something out of nothing, right? Make $1 out of 2 cents, huh? If you got a gumball in your mouth, just spit it out. It's time to make your voice count. I try really hard not to lie. I never lie if I consciously know the real truth. Anybody who says they never lie, who's not like a levitating saint, is full of it. We all do it sometimes. And the stronger ones set aside pride and correct the record. And I always try to correct the record if I found out that something I said wasn't true. Like the fact that the Slavic language is new. The Slavic writing linguistic system that was pinned together is only about 700 years old. But so is the German writing language system. That's like 250 years old, the thing that all of Germany has. Yet we know that the Germani languages go way back. We know that because we got Old Norse and stuff like that. That has a lot of, cognates with Icelandic and stuff like that. It was very simple to find out that the recent German language is much, much different. And same thing with English and Old English, right? For some reason, people just decided to simplify their languages immensely so that the specialities of speaking were flattened down into a 2D form so that they could more easily write down the languages, become more of a administrative language. And that's one of the reasons why I believe, I've thought this question for so long, why are the Slavs called the Slavs? Is because they developed writing systems so late, whereas the Holy Roman Empire Germans were using the Latin writing system. The Slavs were still in the shamanic hinterlands in a way. I love Orthodox Christianity. It's definitely something to study. But I don't really know when Orthodox Christianity really started as a Slavic concept, like Eastern Orthodox, stuff like that. So there's a main point about addiction that a lot of people leave out, which is the fact that it's usually caused by trauma. And the reason why they leave it out is because they think that addiction is some sort of like a genetic malfunction, like people have an addictive personality. Usually it comes from trauma. Usually. Most of the time. And it's not less of an addictive coping mechanism because what you're using as a coping mechanism, what you're addicted to, comes in a pill bottle. It's straight up not. You need to find the source of that trauma and you need to come to terms with it. And the more you come to terms with it, the more you realize, I don't really need it. Right? Right. As simple as that. Alcohol addiction is real bad, though, because, the way that our bodies work is we have a little bit of alcohol, so it feels more natural to us to do it. Yet, when we do a lot of alcohol, methanol builds up in our system as a byproduct. And what hair of the dog is curing methanol poisoning with more alcohol, which neutralizes it and steps it down. That's what hair of the dog is. You wake up, you take a shot of alcohol, and it neutralizes your methanol poisoning so you don't get the shakes. Wild, huh? That's exactly why, you throw up on alcohol and stuff like that. It's usually delayed. It usually doesn't come all at once. It's delayed because the methanol has to start forming in your body for your body to start rejecting it, and then it rejects it violently. I'm kind of a lightweight myself. And I pride myself in not being an alcoholic. I think our ancestors fought very hard, drinking lots and lots of alcohol when they couldn't drink fresh water so that we could live in a time where, so that people could survive to a time where we didn't have to drink alcohol all the time. I think that's true. Oh, and anyways, procedural generation has been around for so long. Terraria didn't need AI to generate 5 trillion worlds. All it does is keep people from thinking for themselves and flexing their creative muscles. And anybody who says, it's worth it because we're triggering people that we don't like. Okay, have fun. Have fun doing what people have always done. But know that you're wasting your time and you're wasting your potential if you're not doing things that are making you better. You're not making you're not making yourself better just by feeling good in the moment. Especially about somebody else feeling bad. You might think you're waging some sort of a war, but if that's the battlefield you're fighting on, are you really? Get it together. Trump is a genuine populist. That's why I voted for him to be the American leader. The biggest issue right now is if you're online and you see this happening, if you're online, is the flood of AI slop bots. And that's going to severely impact what people consider to be populist, because there will be a lot of smoke around real people that obscures them and instead presents a different image. And God bless all the moderators and admins around. All the Jannies sweeping it up, because there's a lot to sweep. And it's being propagated by paid whores, pardon my language, and some of the worst people to ever exist on this planet. And it's not like those are the worst people in the world. It's like we have witnessed the horseshoe theory effect of so-called rational leftists willing to endorse permanent Russia war. I think the super pro-Ukraine people that just think that Putin is the worst person on the entire planet, what they're doing is they're embellishing themselves in a cultural Marxism, if you will, more of a militant atheism, which is something that popped up more after the 90s, whereas cultural Marxism was 80s and 70s, like bookshop, college stuff. Hating Russia just as a concept. You're not a cold warrior. What you do is you hate a firmly Christian country that hasn't been infiltrated by the Masons. And the reason why you hate that is because the Masons that have infiltrated your propaganda networks, and the Zionists too, that want to flatten down every single religion except for their own, because they don't believe that Goyim should be worthy of a connection to God. They are the chosen people in their minds. You are serving your biggest enemies when you do that. And I think those people are worse than the AI people, who at least try to push something in the creative aspects of life, right? And for that matter, there's zero difference between calling the Gadsden flag terrorist and calling the Palestinian flag terrorist. There's zero difference. That's a big goose egg, my fellas. All right, with that one, I'm going to leave you off.